Emil, Amok to you. Welcome to my takeout, my Emil Amok's takeout. Emil, yeah, Emil. A friend of mine sent me a note saying, it was on Facebook. He said, I got a robocall. And he said, Hi, Emil, you haven't contributed yet. And my friend said, My name isn't Emil. My name is Tom. And apparently they got robocalls going out to guys named Emil. And so I said, Look, it's funny. I got a text said, Hey, Tom, you didn't contribute to my campaign yet. I think whoever's running those campaigns, they're getting their Emils and their Toms mixed. Anyway, but you're in the right place if you're looking for Emil. Emil Guillermo, Emil Amok to you. Welcome to my takeout, my Emil Amok's takeout, my takes on all things considerable. And since I last talked to you, all right, I took a break yesterday because I just finished my show, the show here, Emil Amok 69. Yeah, Emil Amok 69. If you missed it, you said, oh, God, I missed that sex show, Emil Amok 69. No, it's not a sex show, you know that. I missed what Emil was saying about the number 69, the philosophical tome that he turned into a one-man show. I missed that. Well, when can I see it again? Well, it was at the Marsh. It was at the Marsh on Wednesday, and that was it. It was a one shot. We're not doing it again. And darn it, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't. I may do it at the Marsh again. But if I don't do it at the Marsh again, or if I do it at the Marsh, it may be sometime in the spring. Sometime. It may come back because the subject matter of Emil Amok 69 and the 69 world, it's forever. Well, at least for the next 3 years. Really, it's just constantly changing. And so this is where you find out where it's going to be again. Versions of Emil Amok 69 will be, I can say this with certainty, will be in San Francisco in January. So if you want to find out where and how to get tickets and all that, this is where you check that out. Here on the YouTube channel and also on amok.com. But I want to say it was great to do the show. It really was. It was great to do the show the other day. And I will call on an audience member who was there, Daniel Phil Gonzalez. I do the show with Dan. He's College of Ethnic Studies, San Francisco State University, Asian American Studies Professor Emeritus. Dan, you're at the show on Wednesday, and this is a solicited testimonial. This is not an unsolicited. I am actually soliciting a testimonial now. So it wasn't a bad show. It was a good show.
No, you're understating it. It was a good show, and there are elements of it that were very, very moving, and there were elements of it that were moving and comedic at the same time.
Like when I was talking about my bowels. Is that what you're saying?
I did not remember anything about your digestive tract, particularly the lower, your duodenum never came up.
That must have been another version.
Although your references to the certain president of a certain country were rather rectal.
Yes. Yeah. So what you're saying, Dan, in that professorial way, there were elements of humor, and it was also very moving.
Yes.
Wow.
And not in a digestive way. Yes.
High
maybe
praise.
So. Some people may have been there after dinner.
Maybe so.
High praise. I can't. Everyone.
High praise coming from you.
People laughed at the right places. The people laughed at the right places. I've been to a lot of things or not a lot, but I've been to several things in my lifetime where people laughed at the wrong places.
Oh, that is bad.
There were times when I was the guy who laughed at the wrong place.
I will say that is bad. Yeah, that is bad. So
But I was right. I was right.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
And the people who were telling the jokes and or they were making statements that I found humorous.
Yeah.
I was right. And the people who heard my singular laughter acknowledged it.
Hey,
and we were both wondering, well, where was everybody else?
Yeah.
At least in your case, people got it. You know, they got it.
They were united, Dan. I united the crowd. It was the United States of Emil right there. No,
Yeah,
well,
they got the ethnic jokes. You know, they got the ethnic jokes, even the ones that you kind of have to be bicultural. You know,
yeah, I know. I do things that some Filipinos will get and some white people will get, and only white people and only Filipinos. But this is the thing. You're in a multicultural area. And when I did this show, I didn't do the exact show in Canada, but I did elements. I mean, like 3/4 of that show I did in Canada. And then
okay.
maybe a quarter to a half was new because it's about the news, my reaction to the news, and things happen. So, and I try to tailor it to a place where I'm performing. So, in California, no poutine jokes, no jokes about poutine.
You know, I just thought of something. You could have tied the mom wanting you to be a priest and a pope. You could have tied that
Yeah.
to the Pope, you know, and his condemnation of ICE. And,
Yes. Oh yeah. Yes. And you know, these are the things that happen. As I mean, in some ways, I let people, when they hear me talk about the Pope, then they think about what they know about the Pope as what
right.
he's doing now, and so it becomes a symbiotic thing. And so I don't always have to be hitting it on the nose. You know, you want to
Yeah.
like, especially when you got a Filipino nose to hit. You know, so broad. So you know, you want to leave some space so people can bring their own, you know, conception of whatever it is I'm talking
Well,
about. But it's fun.
The cool thing about this Pope is, and the issues that he hits, is
Yeah.
he's American. And
Oh yeah, well that's
secondly,
the whole thing.
he's from Chicago,
Yeah.
so it's right
Well,
on the money.
it also means, Dan, who is the most powerful American in the world?
Ooh.
See, I mean, not that guy who's only in there for a couple of years, right? It's got to be this guy, you know, from Chicago who likes pizza and the White Sox, right? So I'm just saying, a lot of these things do come up and they find their way in. Here's the thing. When I do a show, I might say, if I did the entire show, all the stuff that I have about the show would probably run about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. But I make choices. I make choices on the spot right there, and based on the audience and based who's there. And that's why, you know, the show has it doesn't meander, but you know, I'm always making choices in the moment, and that's why I'm there with you. And really, I thank you and, you know, your spouse Linda for being there. Thank you for
it was our pleasure. It's always fun to catch your act. We even enjoy your short shows where the emphasis is more on jokes and
Well, thank you for noticing that there are differences, because there are differences between what you're trying to do in like a 15-minute set or a 7-minute set, which is mostly all jokes, and an hour or 70-minute show, which has that damn narrative arc. You know, it's the damn Aristotle's poetics. You know, beginning, middle, and end. You got to like honor that. And so anyway, well, today so much has happened just since my show day Wednesday, and so you know that if a president of the United States was suggesting that members of Congress should be executed for being seditious, well, you know, that would have snuck in the show, but that wasn't happening. That didn't happen before Thursday. It happened on Thursday. So
that's right. That's right.
So look, there's a couple things I want to talk about. We'll talk about sedition. We'll talk about Epstein, because that's not over, even though he signed it, but we don't know what that means. And then just before we came on, Zoran Mamdani and Donald Trump had their, I guess it's not a summit, right? It's just a meeting. It's just, and
right.
it turned out to be far cuter than anyone thought. Isn't that funny?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I want to play something for people. And maybe this is, they asked some questions. We don't actually get the meeting, but this is Uh, this is a question to, or an answer to a question to a reporter about what went on there.
Years out there, but who knows? I've been doing it and see what works or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. Changed a lot from when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had
See, now here's Trump sort of deflecting a question about how the meeting went, and he's talking. He goes into lies about, oh, my first term was great, and we had the greatest economy, and we're doing even better now. So oh, is this going to change? Is this going to get better? But then he goes on, and Trump is kind of surprising here, when talking about the man who just yesterday he called a communist. But here they were, they're talking.
discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do very good.
Can't hear it that well.
He's going to be, I think he's
Oh.
going to surprise some conservative people, actually.
All right. So basically, he says the question was, how do you feel about Mamdani as mayor? And he says I think he's going to surprise some conservative people, actually, and some very liberal people. Won't be surprised because they already like him. It sounds like you had a productive discussion. The questioner asked, but just days ago, he's asking the question of Mamdani. He says just days ago you referred to Trump as a fascist, with someone with a fascist agenda. Are you claiming to retract it in these remarks in order to improve your relationship? And Mamdani says, I think both President Trump and I are very clear about our positions and our views. And what I really appreciate about the president is the meeting that we had focused on is not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also, but focus on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of 8.5 million people currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And this is where Mamdani began to shine and start to show authority and show comfort and show like he belonged. And Donald Trump just sort of went along with it. It was not the combative Trump like anyone expected. They seemed to like each other. What do you think?
Well, everyone, one of the best describers of Trump is, I think, the Rev, who's a regular contributor to MS Now. They just changed.
The Rev.
He's got his own show.
Sharpton.
Yes, Reverend Al Sharpton. He's got his own show on Saturdays, right? Politics Nation. Anyway, he's known Trump and interacted with him for like 40 years, at least 40 years, if not more.
Yeah.
And so he describes Trump as being rather binary, but his binariness includes 2 poles. One of them is the extremely aggressive and often verbally violent Trump, who's always so full of insults, high and low. And the other one is the charmer.
Yeah.
And Reverend Al says he could be charming. And so the question is, and he commented on this yesterday, the question is, who's going to show up? Which Trump shows up? And we just saw which Trump shows up. And I was listening to it in the car.
Yeah.
While I was driving, and I couldn't stop laughing because Trump was so good. I mean, he really was good.
Isn't this funny?
Thought,
Yeah, isn't this funny
Yeah, go
that
ahead.
you were listening in the car and I was watching on TV, and I was thinking, I wasn't laughing, but I was thinking, is this the real Trump? Does he think he's talking to MBS here? But like during the conventions, I listen to a lot of the conventions because it's their schedules all over the map. Sometimes I listen to the speeches in the car, and totally different. Your experience listening versus watching. And it's funny. You were listening to the press conference with Mamdani and Trump, and it was funny. I was sort of not clear, but what was the message that you got? That there's there's something mutual that they wanted. There's some common ground where both of them can gain, and that's where they were playing today.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Mamdani stayed consistent with
Mm,
everything that he said. Notice
mm,
he artfully dodged, right,
mm.
a response to the question about him having the president as a fascist. He
Right.
didn't answer that. He artfully
Hey,
dodged it, went
hey,
into a
hey.
statement that actually gave Trump the opportunity to say, there's a lot of things that we actually do agree on, and I think, Trump said, I think some of his ideas are outstanding. They're really good, and
Yeah.
we're going to be very supportive of him. We're gonna give him every opportunity. We're gonna support him. He was really strong. So Mamdani didn't veer. Right, he
Yeah.
stayed
Yeah.
consistent, and then Trump, I mean, he made a U-turn. We're talking about a spinning U-turn, man.
Yeah.
And compared to what he said just yesterday and the day before, right? And
Yeah.
and then
Well,
the fun part, I was laughing. The fun part was when he burns Stefanik, right?
yeah.
Because
Running for governor in New York. Yeah.
yeah, one of the questions that came up, what do you think? Stefanik called you a jihadist, and then so do you think you're standing next to or sitting next to a jihadist? And he says, no, he's not a jihadist.
Yeah.
And so he
See,
did
I
two
mean, it's
things.
this. This is totally, excuse me, totally reasonable Trump. And I'm thinking to myself, is this his penance for being crazy about the Democrats and sedition the other day? I mean, that's what I was saying. That
Yeah,
he's for he's all for hanging these seditionist Democrats yesterday, and today he's with this guy he's called a communist, and other people have called it jihadist, and he's in full embrace. It's like, where's the credibility here? Where someone used the
I
word
think.
yeah, someone used the word. How do you reconcile? How do you? And then
Yeah, that's it. That's the perfect question.
yeah, and even
How do
Trump
you
said.
reconcile these?
Even Trump said, "Look, hey, we all change. We all change. We all want the same thing."
Well, no, and he also said, about Stefanik, and,
Yeah,
and in essence about himself as well a couple of times. When you're campaigning, you say things.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's just campaign rhetoric. In other words, he was dismissing it.
Well,
But
yeah,
he was on his job, man. I was laughing because he actually sounded intelligent. It was like he was not his bumbling self. And
well,
I thought,
this
wow,
is this is the thing. Like when he
he's
talks
been visited by the Holy Ghost, man. I mean, he was blessed.
today was so unusual, but just think of the kind of whiplash, right? I mean, it's just like the whiplash on Epstein. Oh no, we're not going to release. Oh yes, we're going to release. Oh, I don't care what you do. And then they're the Congress has voted to release Epstein, and Trump's going to sign it. He might have a plan B or C, but this is the thing. You don't know where he's coming from, but there are times when he gives in, and he's going to try to make it sound like it's some kind of victory. Like he's going to make this with Mamdani sound like a victory for him because they're talking about affordability. He just doesn't want the Democrats and Mamdani to run away with the affordability issue. And so, hey, even though he's with the party of the billionaires and the billionaire class, and oh my God, if they have an affordability issue, does that mean they don't get to use their private planes? They have a problem. The cost of the
or
private.
or
Yeah.
or yeah, or use taxpayer money to rent a private plane so he can have
Right.
so the director of the FBI can go have
Yeah. With a fling.
a dinner with his girlfriend on the West Coast, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the thing about the affordability. I think this might have been the affordability play for Trump to say, "Hey, I'm for the billionaires, but I'm an affordabilist, just like this communist guy. We're all affordabilists. We have this one patch of common ground, and but the other thing is, it's very civil." And so, while on the other hand, on the sedition question with the members of Congress, and Trump went off and almost sounded like he was giving a sign to all the violent MAGA people out there to do some kind of political violence. Here with this person he called a communist a day ago, it's all lovey-dovey. I would say there's got to be some people on the right who are very confused today.
I think he's going to lose some people. I think they will stay MAGA, okay, and then Trump will actually isolate himself from MAGA. That's going to be very interesting, right? Because I think the rest of the Republican Party, that's where we should be talking about as well, and people should be thinking about what's going to happen to the Republican Party at this point, because you started seeing some resistance over the last 2 weeks. And for me, the big one was not only people from Congress, right, like Massey, etc., that little trio going up against Trump, that you saw John Thune say, getting rid of the filibuster, that's not going to happen,
Yeah.
And that to me was a big deal. I mean, obviously they're not going to get rid of the filibuster. And it was stupid for Trump to suggest that they get rid of the filibuster, because once again it shows that he doesn't really understand how those kinds of structural elements, right, how they actually are necessary to the political process, even for a majority that is really quite they're very much in love with their own arrogance, right?
Yeah.
Because of their exclusive hold on political power, at least in DC,
Yeah. Well, what it points to is that, man, we got to figure out what the future of the Republican Party is going to be, because at some point, if MAGA splits from Trump, when do the Republicans start acting like a Republican, so that the never Trumpers, right, come back into the fold as Republicans? Because right now they're kind of in that kind of independent, not quite Democrat, more moderate Democrat.
Yeah.
What kind of coalitions form now, especially if Elise Stefanik, who's running for governor of New York, on an anti-Mamdani, dump the jihadists, dump the communists. now she got a message today saying, "Oh, Trump likes this guy. What are we going to do?" And so, at some point, is he moving to the left of MAGA?
No.
And I don't think
the never Trumpers are not going to come back. Okay, like the Cheneys and the others that either left or were forced out, they're not going to come back. That's not going to happen. However, there are moderate right Republicans like John Thune, right, who are going to be consistent, and there's an opportunity for them to take over leadership of the party. The question is, what is left, right? What kind of membership do they have? Do the legislatures of the red states still hold that much sway, or are they going to start losing more ground to Democrats and independents? And I think that's the key. The key is going to be Republicans losing ground to people who don't want to be Democrats. The kind of people that say, I would never vote for a Democrat, but who now see the fallacies of the Republican Party as they have followed Trumpism, right? And so they're going to go independent. And I think that the independent segment is going to be much more powerful in the future. And that's, you can't just say that. Well, the people who are going to be they're going to be more centrist. They're going to be more moderate. I'm just saying they're going to be more independent. It does not mean that they're going to be more moderate. To be moderate and centrist, you have to be in the middle. You have to have a consciousness of what each of the ideologies, right, as much as they're represented as antagonistic elements, you have to be aware of what both sides are saying.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Mr. My radical leftist friend in the middle now. How you can be in the middle.
No, I'm still a radical leftist.
Well, I'm just saying the radical leftists can be in the middle with centrists like me, because they're trying to figure out where to strike, right? You got to figure out, how am I going to kick the guy in the head? I got to be in the middle.
No. We always come up with ways that we can manipulate the centrists.
Manipulate. No, they're in there with the centrists to manipulate. I got it. Well, I mean, it's interesting now, because this week, right, the confluence of, you got Epstein, you got the Sedition thing, you got
Oh yeah,
You got Mamdani here at the end on Friday, and then you have Dick Cheney's funeral, which,
yeah,
I was never a Dick Cheney fan, but when I was in Washington, it was Dick Cheney's world. It was Dick Cheney and
sure,
Karl Rove and George W. Bush. I mean, I had all my credentials in the White House and in Congress during the Bush 2 years, the GW years, and I worked in Congress during the Clinton years, but as a member of the press, I was there during the GW years, and so he was the president who was speaking yesterday, and there's a lot of people who say, "Well, those guys are out. They're out of politics now, and it's this new world." And what is the new world if it's not MAGA? It's got to be the Republicans who kind of went along, but now they're kind of realizing that they don't have to be loyal, as loyal or as much of a brown noser to Trump as Pam Bondi is, or as Hegseth.
right.
So what kind of Republican Party is that? Not Cheney's Republican Party, but you're saying that's over. That it's not going to be Cheney.
Yeah, that's over. But what will there's an opportunity for centrist and moderately right Republicans to take over leadership. They're going to get resistance. That's going to be the interesting thing, right? Resistance from the MAGA crowd that still wants to be Republican, but they may choose to leave the Republican Party. That would make things very interesting. It's a huge opportunity to a new set of centrist Republicans, and I really mean centrist and moderate. I mean, you remember those days? I mean, there were days when people, people they wouldn't be surprised, right?
But what would
that Cheney and maybe even people
Bolton?
like the vice president and Clinton, that they would meet and they would have decent conversations. It wouldn't be all that newsworthy, right? They would just say later on we had a meeting, and they wouldn't be faced with the presser where people are trying to peel them apart and show the contradictions.
I was thinking about this all while I was watching the Cheney funeral at the the National Cathedral. I mean,
the one to which Vance and Trump were not invited.
Right,
I wonder
Trump
why.
and Vance were not. But I just remember the first time I got to Washington, 1989, and it was a strange time because the whole polarizing right-wing talk was in the air. Rush Limbaugh was gaining notoriety. The divide, the great divide in our country, was beginning to start to split up our country. And I just remember, as an outsider, as a Californian, going into Washington for the first time to work, not in a political job, but in a media job, people were kind of they were not ready for the polarized world. They were still very friendly, talk to everybody, left and right. They were all coming together at this notion that everyone was at each other's throats was really an outsider's notion of Washington, when people were very collegial, very left talked with right. And then I noticed that even in 1991, when I worked in Congress, I saw that my boss, Norm Mineta, would always talk to Alan Simpson of Wyoming. He'd always talk, and they had personal connection, and that helped. But he talked to Henry Hyde of Illinois, a real, anti-abortion guy. I mean, people reached across the aisle, and that was part of Washington life. And but suddenly, since from like 89 on, it was seen as hypocritical to reach across the aisle.
Yeah.
And
remember Simpson Kennedy?
Oh yeah, Simpson
Kennedy. Kennedy was really strong on affirmative action, right?
Yeah.
Really strong on affirmative action, and Simpson was in absolutely the opposite direction, and yet they got there on economic issues,
immigration,
and also international. Yeah, that's right, international issues as well. And they were quite civil,
Maybe, and that's the thing that we always say. Oh, Donald Trump, we've got this loss of civility because he's he's lit up the MAGA crowd. I think at some point, if you're a MAGA person like Stefanik or all the people carrying his water, or a real, the hardcore MAGA folks looking at the Mamdani Trump conference today, you might say, "What's wrong with Trump? He's getting soft. He's getting soft on my. I think at some point, if you're a MAGA person, you start feeling manipulated. I mean, if you're at least Stefanik, you definitely feel manipulated by Trump, right? I mean, do you trust him? Do you like the guy? So I think we are seeing. This is a moment when Mamdani and Trump had their press conference or news. They talked to the press. I think you'll see some of these clips come back during campaign time.
Oh yeah.
To show Trump and the MAGA crowd as hypocrites if they go after Mamdani.
Once again, to paraphrase Al Sharpton, he could change his position in whole or on part by Thanksgiving. He said he could change his position on Mamdani tomorrow. All that has to happen is some kind of misstep, or what could be perceived or treated as a misstep from the right, and he could change his position entirely. And we'd be right back to calling him a communist again,
Or it's based on how Trump perceives going against Mamdani will help him.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, he can justify it. He could justify being nice to Mamdani, saying, "Hey, I want a piece of that affordability issue. We're affordabilists. We're, I got to be nice to this guy. I love New York." And then, but as soon as Mamdani doesn't help him, or he's got to manipulate him to manipulate others into thinking, there's a victory for Donald Trump here somewhere, then that's
what Donald Trump doesn't want is he is seen as a loser right now. He knows he's being seen as a loser. He keeps pretending as though the polls don't mean anything. He just doesn't even refer to them at all.
Yeah.
Or he says they're all fake.
Yesterday
he said they're fake.
Fake polls are fake. Polls. Yeah.
Exactly. And so when he says that kind of stuff, that means I'm watching the polls. He's watching the polls. He knows he's down, right? And so who's the winner? The winner, because of what happened in New York, and he's looking at what? 1 million people came out, and we're supporting 1 million people. That's bigger than anybody, They can't go back, you can't even, nobody could think of a mayoral race where that many people turned out. And the 100,000 volunteers of young people, right, did door knocking, okay? Yeah. And that was a clear count. And so he knows. Now, Mamdani he's a winner. And if there's anything that Mr. Trump wants to be, if he's not the winner himself, he wants to be identified with the winner. Okay?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If Mamdani, if he could, he'd put a sash that says Miss Universe on Mamdani and give him a hug. Because
you're going to do that again? You're going to bring up the beauty pageants again?
No, wait. That would freak out.
Just because he went behind the scenes to check how things were going on, even though the contestants were semi-clad. What's the big deal?
Dan,
What's the big deal?
He's the executive producer.
He's the producer, man. I mean,
Hey, look, here's the thing. I forgot. We talked about the confluence of events. The Miss Universe pageant was yesterday. Miss Mexico won. And, I try my hardest just to not let that. I mean, I noticed, because I know Filipinos love beauty pageants. But I'd only...
Well, because we win them.
Yeah,
we won,
but they didn't, not yesterday. But I will say this, I have a beauty pageant story. When I was in Thailand about 10 years ago, I was in the same hotel as a satellite beauty pageant for Miss Universe. And there I was with all these contestants. They're not really beautiful. They're just odd. It's like, there I was, it was like I was lost in a zoo of zebras, or not zebras, giraffes. I was lost in a zoo of, because they're all tall, these long necks, and they were just not. I didn't think they were very attractive. I didn't see any talent portion when I was there in the hotel. I was just talking about the dining hall, but they are just so tall and so odd looking. To me, they were odd looking. I don't know. I guess the camera softens it up a little bit, when they zoom in and they get their look. But I never liked it. I mean, when I saw it close up and I got to share a table with some beauty contestants from Asia, I got to meet a Miss Thailand, and some other Asian, like I said, it was a satellite to the Miss Universe pageant. They're all right, nice, but I just, they're like bread. They're bred for that. They're the special, species. So, anyways, just thought I'd mention it.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
I'm not to say that they're not. Well, I guess when you see it up close, you see how grotesque, a thing like Miss Universe really is, and I don't know, sit next to some of them sometime.
I had some very beautiful young women in some of my classes that were very antagonistic towards beauty contests, and a couple of them were actually contestants, and they described, they did their papers on the experience and on how their rebelliousness against it didn't have any effect, because initially they were forced by family, to participate, but that they did it with resentment, and and I really appreciated the fact that they were willing to come out and say that. But
these are Filipinos in the community.
One of them was Pinay, and another was Latina, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think all power to women.
I think she was Brazilian, and she was tall. She was definitely one of the tall ones, and she had this great Brazilian look. Like if you're gonna imagine the girl from Ipanema, like the song.
Yeah.
She was it. She was definitely it.
Well, I'm just saying that, when you watch it on TV, that's one thing. They kind of look normal, especially if your TV is only like 36 inches or 64 inches or whatever. It seems normal. But when you actually meet them up front, I mean, I interviewed one just because, when's the next time I'm going to be next to a Miss Universe contestant? And we had a nice conversation. But they're like athletes, right? They're like, not everyone plays pro sports, right? Not everyone gets to be in a pro beauty pageant. And when you get to see them, you're just, I just saw them as just kind of part of a grotesque kind of enterprise of professional beauty. And I was saddened, and my heart goes out to those girls who are forced into it, because of culture or parents or whatever.
Anyway. A lot of them are also volunteers. I mean, they're really eager to participate in it, and they see it as stepping stone to bigger things. And it works as a stepping stone to bigger things for a lot of people.
You can work at Fox News. You can work at you can
run for office. Some of them run for office.
That's
and they're winning.
It's public speaking.
Some of them get picked up by big legal firms because who's not going to want that kind of show as a young maybe aspiring partner, right, in their show. Who's not going to want that?
I worked, one of the anchor people in Dallas I worked with was a Miss America, Jane Giroux. She was very nice, Miss Oklahoma, and she wasn't she was conservative, but she wasn't as political like a lot of the Fox news types. But so I have met and worked with some beauty pageant winners. Anyway, moving on from the beauty, it just happened that this week, and Miss Mexico won, and there was a big controversy about Miss Mexico, or not Miss Mexico, but Mexican contestants. I don't want to get into that, but I also noticed that when I was trying to watch it, it was on Telemundo, but was it on an American channel, Miss Universe?
I don't know.
I don't know. I saw I thought it was on Telemundo. And anyway, all right. So we talked about Mamdani. We talked about beauty
I
pageants.
only watch it. I only watch it when it's recorded, and if there's a Pinay in the top 10,
Oh
then I
yeah,
watch it.
me as well. All right. So the Epstein thing happened this week, and finally Donald Trump signed it. We think he signed it. He said he did, but now
He
it's
did
up
it.
to
He did it in the dark. He did it
yeah.
in the dark. Oh, because his signature doesn't look quite the same, and which means he didn't use it.
No auto pen, but
Yeah.
I mean, he did it, but it's also he kind of diminished its, tried to diminish its stature because he's a loser. He lost this one. He lost to the Republicans in the House and the Senate, and now he's got to figure out a plan B or C to try to minimize what gets out there, which no doubt he's going to do. We're just got to see how much brown nosing Pam Bondi is going to do to make sure that all the names and stuff are redacted, not in Sharpie, but with Pam Bondi's brown nose. So
Pam Bondi, who has decided to reopen the investigations into Jeffrey Epstein. So that's kind of interesting, right?
she's reopening. I didn't hear that. She's reopening them.
Oh yeah. She got asked late yesterday. She got asked at a presser. We understand that you're going to reopen the Epstein investigation. What caused you to change directions and reopen? And she stumbled all. She kept repeating information.
New information. That's right.
That's right. New information.
But
and she kept. She said it about six times in a row.
The new information is the boss doesn't want anything out, and the new information
That's
is we are not going to release anything because we got to find the new information. We got to read the darn thing.
We got these investigations against the Democrats, but the possibility is that the courts are starting to throw out. They're getting ready to throw the Comey prosecution out, right?
Yeah.
And so the likelihood that we're going to get any kind of freaking even charges, levied against more Democrats, that is in jeopardy now. And so what can we do? We can reopen the Epstein investigation, and then they can't go any further with anything. We don't have to release anything because Epstein is actually the subject of the investigation. It's not collateral, right?
Yeah.
It's core,
Yeah. Well, see, this is the thing. They're always looking for some kind of speed bump, some kind of blockade. But at some point, that'll have to be adjudicated, right? And I don't know.
Did you see any still photos of the three of them standing there with Patel over her?
Oh yeah.
What is that? Over her left shoulder? Yeah. He looked worse than a deer in headlights. He looked like he'd been hit.
I see.
A deer
in
headlights is about to be hit. He looked like he was hit.
I see. This is my bad Patel eye impression, but it would really be his eyes are as big as my God.
Oh man. Oh man.
So anyway,
people keep on talking about their incompetence. It's worse than that, man. Yes, their incompetence shows up when they're doing something illegal. They're already doing something illegal. What's her name? What's the young woman's name? Holland.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell.
Lindsay Halligan.
Halligan. She.
The supermodel.
Yeah, I almost confused her name with the Halligans. That would have been awful. Everybody keeps on pointing at her incompetence, and then look at if one of the big things that they push in law school, right? One of the first courses you take, first year law school, is civil procedure. The first scariest thing that they tell you in civil procedure is you got to get the forms right. You have to have the forms absolutely right. And different jurisdictions may have slightly different forms, okay? And what you realize, what this means is it's not just the placement of like the plaintiff's name and the defendant's name in the title, okay? Or the way the date, of the case is presented. It's also even the number of lines between the upper section and then the lower section and the center section of the front page, right? This is just the front page. What's the consequence if you screw that up? It's thrown out. And guess what? You don't get another shot.
Yeah.
You don't get another shot. So it's absolutely necessary to at least get the forms right. What's the second most important thing? You got to know the process. Steps 1, 2, 3, 4. You got to know the process. And if you blow the process, guess what? You lose jurisdiction. You're out of there again, right? Okay. So what I'm saying is, she screwed up so many times. This case should be gone. It should be gone. I mean, if this case occurred anywhere over here, it should be gone, right? And she should have her freaking license revoked. She should at least have her license suspended. Okay.
But she was the sacrificial lamb because Pam Bondi didn't want to do it, and none of the other higher up lawyers. So they took an insurance lawyer and then thrust her in there without any experience. So in some ways, she was brilliant enough to think that her association with a sinking ship was going to be good. Okay. She is just one of those ambitious loyalists, and she thought she could do it without getting her nose too brown.
Well, she passed the bar in some state. I don't know what the hell it was, but she passed the bar.
Virginia, the Virginia bar.
That's not an easy state. That's not an easy state. People keep saying she was a good student and all the rest of that stuff. If she passed the bar in Virginia, that's not an easy state. It's not one of the simple ones. So you got to give her credit for doing it. So then the question is, if you can pass the bar, how the hell could you screw up this badly, right?
Well, I mean, no experience, no.
Oh, come on.
Look, I'm not making experience. I'm not making excuses for Lizzie Halligan, but I think that
that is so weak that no experience because people. Oops, are you there? Where are you, Emil? I've lost you, Emil. Emil.
Oh, there you go. You're reconnected again.
I'm glad that you're not. Yeah, but the problem
that was God's
lack of experience. When you have a lack of experience, what you do is you ask somebody who knows, who's been there before, and has put the stuff in front of the judge before. Okay.
No one wanted to come close to this. All the experienced ones said no, not us.
Look, you don't ask him to argue the case for you. You don't ask him to argue the case for you. You say, "I'm going to make the appearance, but here's what." I want to make sure I dot my I's and cross my T's. I want to make sure that I'm good going in. And she didn't even do that. She bypassed, right? She bypassed the grand jury. She had to admit that, when the grand jury came back and said, we'd like 2 out of 3, right, of these complaints. We like 2 or 3 of 2 of the charges we think should stick, right? And they're going to stand trial for that. But one of them we don't. And instead of saying, okay, let me rewrite it and see if you can get all 3, right? What she decided to do was, okay, we'll only put 2 of them out. Okay. But she bypassed it. They never reviewed it. Only 2 people saw it. One member was a member of the grand jury, right? And another member was somebody else, in the court staff. And she went forward with that and got caught. Well, what kind of stuff is that? That's really, really, really stupid. That's beyond incompetence, man.
Well, all right. This is the Trump administration, and this is the DOJ, and this is why, as people step back and they see that Trump and his administration is human, they see how human, and it's not. It's not a sympathetic look. I mean, there are loyalists out there who, no matter what, because we say this every time there's something, newsworthy that the Trump administration does, and we go to our friends and say, now, do you want to flip over? Now, do you want to see how stupid these guys are? And they just hang in there. They don't go. They don't budge. Right? They don't. At some point, you got to be, you look at the never Trumpers are never Trumpers because they came to that conclusion early on. But there are people who are hanging on saying, there's something to Trump. There's nothing to Trump. You're being played. And so we'll get, when the Comey thing goes down, we'll see what happens with James. We'll see what happens with Bolton. The incompetence is pretty alarming. All right, now we mentioned sedition. Oh well, Epstein. We'll see what happens in terms of, I guess if the
They're
investigation
gonna
is,
hold stuff back and redacted stuff. There's all kind of redacted jokes coming
yeah,
out. Lots of memes where
yeah,
one meme was every line was blanked out and blacked over, right? And then
yeah.
only one thing remained, and it was the two words, Bill Clinton. That was everything. Everything else on the page was gone, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I thought that was pretty good.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing about Epstein. It's always going to come up. It's never going to go away. And if whether or not it goes forward, people will always wonder, and that's going to be a cloud that follows Trump. So I think I think the less he says, the less it comes out. He just thinks he's minimizing it. It's this low level pain. But I think something's going to happen. It's still going to come. And Ghislaine Maxwell is still out there, So.
Oh yeah, that she's enjoying country club.
Yeah.
Kind of kept country club circumstances, but
yeah.
Okay, enough of the Epstein stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think the thing that we want to pay attention to, if you're rational and moralistic thinkers, is you be thinking about the welfare of the victims of that experience. Okay,
And does
that's
Trump
what we need
ever
to be watching.
right? And does Trump
No.
ever say anything? Look,
No.
the classic Trump move. Here's a classic Trump move. It's going to happen, and when it happens, he's reached rock bottom. He has a White House event for the people who voted for him, who are victims, and he has a Mar-a-Lago. No, not Mar-a-Lago. That'd be too traumatic.
Great idea. That's a great idea, and I think we should share that with the White House staff.
All right, but if he did that, that would be a way to say, hey, I love that look. Today, what we saw with the Mamdani news conference with Trump, he's got Trump. It's the Trump Mamdani move. It's going to be the Trump embracing the affordabilism, right? The affordable issue. Here,
they've come up with a new word. It's affordability. It's a new word.
Yeah, but now he's got, if he embraces because he didn't embrace the victims. He went straight from, vote for whatever you want, Republicans, to embracing MBS, right? He was embracing MBS.
Oh, my God.
Not the victims. He didn't say anything about the victims. If he says something about the victims, there you go. That's just what I don't want to help Donald Trump too much, but I don't want people to think I hate Donald Trump so bad that because I don't have hate for Donald. I am really trying to be, as they say in the meditative world, I'm trying to be equanimous. I'm trying to be equanimous.
Okay.
I'm trying to say, maybe there's a nice side to Donald Trump. Not very much, but this is how he can rehabilitate himself. I mean, to the degree that he wants this thing to go away. But I'm just saying, if he does it, he's rock bottom. If he embraces the victims. Once you see that,
did you like he's consistent also in the way that he values those kinds of international relationships, right? It always comes down to money.
It's all money. It's all money.
And what did he say? He said, well, MBS has already committed to $600 billion. Okay.
No, he's going to make it a trillion. He's going to make it a trillion.
I think that's what he said. He said, I think I can maybe improve on that a little bit. We'll have to see. And then at the end of the day, what's the news? He's committed $950 billion, $1 trillion.
Hey, look, here's the thing.
Okay, so that's where it's at, man. He's getting all this good stuff.
Because MBS
now
knows.
The Supreme Court, though, has got a case in hand. There's two cases coming up that are going to change everything. I mean, one of them is the Texas and the Louisiana cases around gerrymandering. They're asking questions that make pretty strong inference, right? That they're not going to go along with the legitimacy of especially racially inspired gerrymandering.
Well,
Even though they keep
they're
saying, okay, no, it's not racial, it's partisan. It's just party based. It has nothing to do with race. Oh wait a
those
minute.
those racist Supreme Court jurists, they just want to be consistent, right? They get rid of affirmative action. They don't want race in anything, so they should be race based gerrymandering. So they're just being consistent, and also now they have permission now that the Congress says, hey, we want to be a separate branch of government. We're a separate branch of government now. I mean, maybe we'll see.
I heard a couple of jurists and longtime journalists that have written books on SCOTUS say that they think it's going to be a 5-4 and even possibly 6-3 decision, disfavoring the gerrymanders,
Going
those
against
gerrymandered districts. So it's kicking it right back to the states and saying you got to fix this. But Texas ain't going to do that. Louisiana might, but not Texas. Not with Greg Abbott sitting there.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean,
happen.
I think this is part of the thing. The Epstein vote, the near unanimous Epstein vote, beginning of the end, and it doesn't mean quick automatic end, but it means that things get harder for the lame duck Trump, and he is a lame duck. And notice you don't see, well, JD Vance is out there a little bit, but he's just biding his time.
He actually contradicted Trump almost directly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was on the sedition issue.
Oh yeah. Well, let's go talk about
this. Yeah. We need to.
Yeah. So I mean, essentially,
that was crazy. I mean, that was just a wild slashing movement by Mr. Trump. Really crazy, and to watch, especially Johnson, come out, and Johnson and Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham kind of, he said that it was over the top. The statement was over the top. Saying that you want to execute people. That's over the top. But Johnson essentially said what those Democrats did was terrible, and they all said the same thing, and that is they're encouraging members of the military to disobey orders. Okay, and they eliminate entirely the word illegal. Right.
Which illegal. It's legal to do that. It's legal to tell the to disobey illegal orders. It's legal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope that you remember several sessions ago, probably as long as a month or so, maybe even 6 weeks ago. I said that, well, people got to understand that there are members of the military really are apolitical and absolutely professional, and they're going to resist some of the things that this administration thinks they can get away with. And so I don't know how long Hegseth has, but the military is going to want that fool gone. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, the thing about Hegseth, he's the loudest on anti-DEI, which is the two issues that Donald Trump likes to harp on. Anti-DEI, anti-wokeness, and the trans issue. Those are his two fallbacks. That signaled him back. Oh, he's still with us. He's still with us.
Yeah, they express it as protection of women's rights and interests.
Right, but
the anti-trans thing.
Yeah, the anti-trans, because these girls, they're getting beaten up by boys who are playing sports that they don't belong in, which is baloney. But when they're in the wrong bathroom.
When Shaq O'Neal, right, shows up on the basketball court.
Shaka.
They don't want to put Jenner out there, right? Because Jenner's crazy Trump supportive. Okay, well, they can't put his butt out there. Okay, and they has to deal with the Kardashians, but then when you pull back on that a little bit, is like, wait a minute, who was he married to before?
Yeah, he loves those two issues. The border issue he still loves, or Stephen Miller makes him love it, and he keeps saying, "Oh, no one's crossing the border." No, and yet we see all these abuses by ICE, which begins to scare me. How many abuses are out there, and they go from city to city. And I think a lot of the distractions that we've seen this week are distractions from those incursions into Charlotte and Chicago and LA and so forth and so on, and stories coming out of Boston, out of ICE. It saddens me because they're just starting to get some attention, but it's crazy, what's happening in some of these communities, and how due process is not even, due process is just not a part of the story. That there's no due process for these people, for a lot of these people.
No, and one of my more conservative relatives that I talk to all the time, right? We don't talk politics that much because he just comes out and says, and he's veteran, decorated veteran, because he says it really bothers me, and so I don't like talking politics. But for some reason, he raised the fact that Boasberg, right, the judge situated here in San Francisco, that was making all those decisions that were going anti-Trump. And I said, look, as soon as Trump was elected last year, one of the first things that I said, and I don't remember if I put it on Blue Sky or not, but I think I put it on Facebook, was Trump is going to take positions that are consistent with what they present in Project 2025. And remember, people were saying, no, they can't do that. I mean, it's just this is something the extreme right, it's a dream sheet. And I told you on this show, look, man, did you read it? Because they present things in such a way that the first 2/3 is acceptable. The first third of each step that they had on each issue describes what's going on in American society in a near completely factual position, right? The second part shows you a biased analysis of the causes, right, and how it might be addressed. And then the third part says, this is how we're going to do it, okay? So you could easily see people buying into the first two sections of the arguments being presented for each topic, right? And that's what I told you back then. That's exactly what has happened, man.
Yeah, we're slipping into this normal, where we're not outraged and it's just normal. Oh, and we told you about it.
And so people are really rejoicing in part, right? They're celebrating the little victories in court, and Boasberg was one of them. Okay, and I said, okay, fine. What if they lose at all cases? And there's, like I said, there's 2 big cases up right now. Okay, what if they lose all those cases? Okay, I said, what about the immigrants, the migrants that have been sent to prisons like in El Salvador, and the ones that have been sent to third-party countries that have nothing to do with the immigration crisis here, right? No matter how you reform it, how you form the idea of the crisis, right, in your own head, right, has nothing to do with logic whatsoever, except one element: penalization, penalty, punishment. That's what it is. It's being mean, all right, as destructive as possible. Okay, so what if they win? Who's going to enforce those decisions? That's what it is. Right. And
you've mentioned that. You mentioned that the Supreme Court doesn't have an army, a military.
Yep.
But
DOJ,
and we know that the
DOJ. Well, there's a DOJ now coming out of Maryland, right? That is saying they're going to open up an investigation on that crazy dude Martin that goes around looking like.
Martin. He's going with Pulte after some folks. Swalwell, I think. Swalwell, who's running for governor of California. So,
and
all right.
So that Maryland office of the DOJ is going to go after Pulte and Martin.
Yeah.
They said they're going to open up an investigation on them. So, you were talking about sacrificial lambs, like Halligan's a sacrificial lamb. These guys are going to be sacrificial lambs too. But they deserve it because they're idiots.
Well,
when
they were
that arrogant. Arrogance and stupidity are not a good combination.
They were loyalists to Trump, and they're paying the price, or will pay the price. All right.
Yep.
All right. So the last word on sedition is Donald Trump was defining sedition for everyone, but it's still the congressmen, like Mark Kelly was among them, a number of women who served.
Senator Kelly.
Senator Kelly. But they, nothing they said was against the law. They were simply repeating what's in the.
It was actually a statement of the law.
Yeah, the military justice code, right? So it's total BS on the part of Trump, but using his power, and look at how he alarmed people. He did alarm people, but it's like Chicken Little, right?
The scary part is that now there are death threats galore.
Yeah, and that's a problem. That's a problem.
I don't know how they get the extra protection, but my understanding is that they've gotten extra protection, right, for their families. And I don't know whether or not Johnson has to agree to that, or what that process is. But it's the committees that they're on that when they see a danger and when there's a national security issue involved, and obviously, threats against members of the government is a national security issue, they can be given extra protection. But how is that going to work, and how many threats have come in, right?
So maybe once again, the Mamdani thing. Trump did a Mamdani to show I got love for the communists now. I got it, and then, so he's a loving guy. Trump's a loving guy, and because he can't walk back the sedition quote that much. Although logical people will say, "Oh, he's full of it." Here he is just trying to say, "Yeah, I'm just lovable Donnie here." I love this jihadist. I love the jihadists here.
Yeah. The harm is done. The harm is done, man. Oh, and Swalwell announced he's run for the governor last night.
Yeah. Yes, I saw that. I think it's interesting because it's crowded. Becerra's running, and all these people running.
And 8 or 9 so far.
Good thing Bonta's not in there because he would have been lost.
No. There's another game going on. I will not disclose, or else I will lose my informants if I talk about it.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. But but my feeling is he's probably looking for something in Washington, something. Look who catapulted, how people catapulted from that position, the California AG to what? Attorney General, another administration. Oh, yeah. The Senate. Well, the Senate's a possibility. The Senate with Kamala Harris, and then Becerra got HHS. So he's in a good position. He's still young, and all he has to do is do the right thing.
If I were him, the Senate is much better position to be in than a cabinet post, right? Those only last at best 2 terms.
Yeah,
right?
Cabinet post.
It's difficult jobs. The important ones are very difficult jobs. They're next to thankless. You make one minor misstep and the whole world craps on you. It's very difficult.
Well, the cabinet is you're a bureaucrat, and the best bureaucrat who was a cabinet member, Leon Panetta. Man, he is Mr.
He was excellent.
Mr. Utility Man. Anywhere you needed him, he would serve. I think.
3 different jobs.
Yeah.
And one of them, the most, in my opinion, right, because I'm an international relations biased guy, was the CIA position.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really extreme pressure and a lot of really intelligent decisions having to be made on what you do. That's constant, right? I mean, they are giving information to the president that's exclusive to the president.
Yeah. And,
on a daily basis.
and that's why, cabinet is cool. You got access to the power, but senator, in terms of longevity,
Yeah,
in
you
terms
could
of
be there for a lifetime and proven by all of the generations of people that stay there too long.
yeah. Well, let's see. Who are our senators now? Are Padilla and well, why can't I name?
What
Oh,
is
Schiff,
Schumer?
Schiff,
Yeah, Schiff.
Schiff, Schiff.
Yeah, Schiff.
But Schiff is gonna. Where's he gonna go?
I don't know. I
Schiff
mean,
will
he's
go.
there for a while. If I were him, I'd stay there.
Yeah, and then Padilla wants to
Well,
stay. I mean,
I kind of heard something different. I heard that he might be running for governor.
Padilla too.
Yeah,
Well, I'm telling you, there's
there's so many people already.
there's like at least 9 or 10.
Porter is still there, but she's pretty much fried she's burnt her steak.
Well, she got arrogant. She
burnt the barbecue. I don't know if it's arrogance. I think she's not. She's really those kind of personality traits stay consistent. And if she snaps that easily and goes off against a member of her staff like that, that really is about her personality, about her basic character.
Well, I can see that. Hey, speaking of other political appointments, we talked about Beya Alcaraz, the first Filipino San Francisco supervisor, who was the first San Francisco Filipino supervisor to exit within 8 days. We did talk. I don't know if there's anything more to say except there's no vetting process. And, at the same time, the week in San Francisco, they were vetting, or they announced Alcaraz. In Oakland, they were vetting for a police chief, and they got a process where you have to vet the next person. And the next person was this guy, Beer, assistant police chief. He's now the interim. And they've got to go through another process before he even gets to think about being the permanent guy. So maybe that's what we need in San Francisco, a vetting process that is outlined. So it's not a matter of, here's the last person I talked to. I like this person. Let's put this person in. That would have saved.
It should be handled the same way. I think people are probably surprised by the fact that they can just make those appointments outright without much vetting, because everybody's accustomed to the presidential process, right? And even the gubernatorial process. You make your nominations, and then it has to be thoroughly vetted, and then the Senate gets the vote, right? So those kinds of processes are something that everybody's familiar with, and see it happen at the municipal level is really problematic.
Yeah, well, I'll say, I said in my column, I thought that Beya Alcaraz, it'll be a long day. I mean, she'll be remembered for a long time, but for the wrong reason. And
unfortunately, Filipinos will be remembered for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, well, I just think it's not going to be easily. It's not just a footnote. I think it's going to be a real thing, and it's going to be a long time before another Filipino can rise and be tabbed, unless they win in one of the districts where the Filipinos are one of the leading groups, and maybe the Excelsior, maybe the South.
And also look at Filipinos have been very successful in Daly City, and in San Mateo, northern San Mateo County more generally, right? With the former mayor Mike Gingona being on their community college board now, and he's been there for years, and so. He's made a couple of bids for other things. I mean, maybe he'll go for judge. We had somebody in Santa Clara County try to go for judge, didn't quite make it. And also in northern San Mateo County, and he moved out of the city because he got offered a gig up in Buenaventura. What's his name? Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he moved up to Lake County. But I always said, I asked him, well, how much of that was because Cache Creek is right there? I mean, I said, you got to resist, man, resist.
Well,
But
this is
anyway,
the thing.
you
A
got to
lot of
have
people.
Filipinos come forward and say, okay, that was unfortunate, but there are a lot of people within our community, right,
Yeah.
that are capable of being at the supervisor's level.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's
there are, but I don't understand why members of the community haven't come up there and just said that, right?
well, a lot of them aren't members of they aren't leaders in San Francisco. I mean, they don't live in San Francisco. A lot of the
That's
more
right.
vocal leaders. And as I said in my column that I wrote for Inquirer.net, I just mentioned how, you know, it's kind of personal for me and you because we knew some of the players back in the 80s who were seen as they were carving
Potential.
out the path, right?
Yeah,
To go
they
from
were potential.
board of education to supervisor, and they were, yeah, as much a part of what could be, a toehold
Community
into the
college, community
yeah,
college board.
yeah, right, and it was like a toehold into the machine, the political machine, but it never really fully blossomed to some of the higher offices. But that's all right. I mean, this is part. Look, it's a long politics, the long tail. It's a long journey, right?
Yeah, there's
And
some staffers. There's some staffers right now that are
mm,
insiders to municipal government,
mm,
but they're guarding themselves well, because they want to keep their jobs and they maybe move on.
mm,
But they really have to be the people that really helped the Filipino American Democratic Club
mm.
increase its influence and its presence as far as San Francisco politics went back in the '80s, as you referred to. That was really a high point in the
Yeah.
influence of Filipino Americans,
Oh,
and a lot of that is because of teachers. First generation immigrant teachers made up the largest portion. I don't know if they were majority, but they were certainly a plurality
yeah.
of the membership of FADC. They were very active and
It's
very influential, and they had allies because they were members of the U.S. The San Francisco Unified School District,
yeah.
and they had allies in the other Asian American and communities, and in the Latino community as well as the African American community. So they had good relations across the board, and that's one of the reasons for our strength back then.
It
Um,
helped, but you know what else? What else had to be a part, and that is the focus on Marcos in the Philippines and the community
oh,
here.
that's
And
true.
as long as Marcos was so backed by Reagan and Bush and the Republicans, and so hated by most of the people in the community, although there were the exile community here were mostly anti-Marcos, right?
Yeah.
And then there was pro Marcos Ilocanos who were in the Bay Area. But as
Yep.
long as the Philippines story, the dictatorship under U.S. control was high profile. Filipinos were people noticed them. We had the heat. We had the heat,
Yeah, yeah, and it
and
and it,
and
and it
and
increased. It increased when EDSA and the People Power movement
oh
happened.
yeah,
The
of course.
ouster of Marcos, and that kept us very. Everybody was really hopeful. Remember how
Oh
everybody
yeah,
was super
yeah,
high on the potential for democracy,
it,
Philippines, real
it
democracy.
yeah,
Okay.
and it fizzled. It fizzled. It didn't really. It started to the Philippines started getting some heat when Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pac. That I mean, he made the time 100. I mean,
Oh
look,
man,
it pains for me to say Manny Pacquiao because he's a boxer and he was the great hope, but he's also homophobic. He's also
yeah,
he's got
he was
he's got
fine
his
until he opened his mouth.
yeah he had his shortcomings, but he was, oh man, it was
I
not since
almost I
Marcos.
almost bought a Manny Pacquiao shirt when he was at the height of his popularity. I almost bought the
Yeah,
shirt, and something
yeah.
told me, no, no, don't do it.
He's not the guy. Well, I knew he was not the guy. I mean, around 2014, I guess, really 2011, 12. I mean, at 2010, I was still kind of high on him. I actually met him, and I saw, man, this guy, he's he,
You're
he
better off. The Filipinos would have been better off getting one of the singers or actors that they love so much,
oh
right?
yeah,
To run for.
Leia
But
Salonga, maybe, I don't know. But I just know
yeah,
that I don't I never met Leia Salonga, but yeah, she sings all right. I mean, but I thought Manny was a disappointment when I ultimately met him, and then like you said, when he was homophobic and
listen,
on
man.
social issues.
Let's. I think one of the things that I look back on fondly was when we did the Countdown Manila thing together.
Hmm.
We were co-moderators of that panel. It was the second of two panels, right? On
Hmm.
that was based on the likelihood that Mr. Marcos was not long for that political world. And so we did the second one together. I did the first one with your good friend, Phil,
Hmm.
but Bronstein,
Yeah.
and we understood really well what was going on. At that point, the formation of the Ninoy Aquino movement was a really big deal, and I know that we both got offered, right, international, right, prominence on that body,
Hmm.
right,
Yeah.
and I turned it down. Obviously, to be a journalist and to continue the I don't know what you did with that. What happened when you got the invitation to be on now?
No, I didn't really. It wasn't really it wasn't something that I would do. It's just
Yeah.
it's just.
Yep.
But
Me
look,
too.
let me just say this. All I just mean to say is that Filipinos had heat, as Donald Trump likes to say, America's hot. The Philippines was hot back then. People noticed the Philippines, and now it's not as we don't have the heat. We don't have the heat. We don't have the numbers. We're not the Chinese. We're not even the South Asians. We're number 3 in terms of Asian America. The Vietnamese are rising, and they've got the war. They got the war as the baggage that to guilt trip America, just like the Japanese had the internment camps. And then the Hmong, same thing. The Hmong have Laos to guilt trip the Americans. Hey, look, we're citizens. We're active in politics. We're a minority, but look what's in our heritage, our past. I mean, the Filipinos, yeah, we were the first colony, but we also have had many years, more than.
We've got people that kept us, that gave people notice, gave the general public notice that we had high levels of professional achievement, right? And we had a California State Supreme Court.
Oh yeah.
And she was outstanding. She just did an excellent job. I was really unhappy that she decided to retire out because she was so good. It'd be cool to interview her sometime. That we should talk to her about Sakaya, yeah.
Sakaya.
But anyway, so we got people, not just Bonta, but Bonta's an outstanding example.
Yeah.
Of people who are really excellent
Yeah.
in their capacity to do the work, the most important of it, and to stand in the political fray and come out in an outstanding position. So he's really in good shape. But like I said, I can't disclose any more of that.
No. I'm not.
Oh yeah, I can't.
All right.
Anyway.
So we talked about Beya. Too bad for Beya. We've come to the end, and we'll end the way we began. Thank you, Dan, for seeing my show. We got one of our listeners in the chat, Juanita Soy Wilson. She was there. She says, "Happy Friday, Emil and Dan." She gives a little.
And so, and say hi to Alan, Juanita. It was really great meeting Alan, and also being able to talk to him about his own heritage. it's he's got Mayflower heritage.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
And a really interesting story. So I want to resume that conversation with them next time around. But they're a great pleasure to talk to.
Yeah, I was really happy to see them because they came to our thing at the library, and people say, "Oh, we're gonna be there. We're gonna get tickets. We're gonna see your next thing," and of all the people who said that they would be there, they were one of the the few who lived up to the word and said, "Yeah, I'm going to be there." So great supporters of what we do here on the podcast or on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, what we did at the library, and also my show at the Marsh. And Dan, I'm glad that you were there. And as an audience member watching, it was maybe there were some news stories in there. I tell my stories, and my stories are there, but there are some news stories there, and I think I could hear you laugh. I know your laugh, so I can hear when I struck a nerve. I said, "Oh, there's Dan laughing there, off in the corner, not playing with himself."
Yeah, there was. No, I got my wife sitting next to me, man. I mean, it's gross.
Oh yeah. I know. But no, I'm glad that you and Linda were there, and I'm glad
related to Bober. So she's not going to be playing.
Yeah, I'm just happy, and here's the thing, I'm going to do maybe I'll do the show again at the Marsh sometime next year. I don't know. We're that's the hope, that we rise and we get to do a couple of weekends or something, and then I'm going to do the show in San Francisco in January, and then maybe take it on the road a little bit again. Maybe last year I took it to Canada. That was a lot of fun. This year, maybe I'll take it to, some other fringe festivals, Fresno, Orlando. I don't know if I'll go to New York, but it's fun. I mean, this has been an activity that has extended. I mean, it's not journalism, but it is storytelling, and it is getting across information about what's happening to the community and the world, and to Asian Americans, and it's my personal view, so it's an extension of my columns. So I thank you for being there, and thank you for being as supportive as you've been.
Well, you're quite welcome. I thank you for being the showman that you are. It's a different side of Emil Amok.
Yeah, I mean,
I envy the fact that you have something to be able to present that's a little bit different from the usual journalistic processes that you've engaged in for a lifetime, and it's very pleasurable. It's a worthwhile experience.
So you're saying, Dan, you're saying it was funny.
It was funny. It was serious too. I mean, there were some very strong emotional moments when you're talking about family life, particularly, and how you were suddenly made aware of Jen's decisions, about your daughter's decisions about how she wanted to live, and that was really strong. The part about walking around in the neighborhood, when she got the bandages off, well, that was
I really
that tension.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Because the story isn't just me telling jokes about the current news, but it sort of goes generationally throughout my Filipino life. My mother, my father, my kids, a little bit about my career, such as it is. But in the end, I mean, there's laughs, and there's also a touching moment. So I'm glad that you were there to see this new iteration of Emil Amok 69, which is kind of a sex show. It's kind of a sex show. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a sex show. I mean,
Yeah, there are a couple of lines that I won't hear that I thought,
Hey, yeah,
that
yeah,
made direct reference to the sex act. Okay,
yeah. Well,
but
it's
I held back on that, making those statements until we were out on the sidewalk and out on the street. And then,
thank you. Well, I just want to,
yeah, yeah.
I didn't want to be too literal, but sometimes you have to. Yeah. So, all
Yeah,
right. So, Dan.
people ought to understand also that the Marsh is a great venue if you want to have dinner before or after. You know,
Oh
there's a
yeah.
lot of places to eat. There's one of the better ice cream joints in the city is right down the street. You got a variety of
Yeah.
ethnic foods. It's not just Mexican American or Latino or Central American food. And then, there's some Indian food right across the street. Right,
Yeah.
and that's one of my favorite neighborhoods, and it always has been. But even more so with the amount of different, available different food. The Senor
Well, the
Sisig
food.
is like a block away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is Senior Sisig a block away? Is it
yeah,
really?
yeah.
I didn't know that because I grew up there when there was no Senior Sisig. I mean, because it's like
Oh yeah,
2 blocks away from Mission Playground, right?
yeah.
And
Senor Sisig is new. I mean, they've only been there, brick, but just before COVID they opened up, and
yeah,
I
see,
thought COVID was going to
they
be a
weren't
problem.
they weren't they weren't there when was growing up. When I was growing up, uh, there was Jets, 19
Oh,
cents. Remember that?
sure. Yeah,
19-cent shakes and 19-cent fries, and
yeah, yeah.
that was a big lure. And but yeah, it
Was
was
it,
right
was
in the
it,
back
what
of
was the,
Mission.
was that the place on South Venice?
No, that was another. That was another one. I think that was TikTok. I think they call that TikTok.
Oh yeah, it was TikTok.
Yeah,
There were two TikToks, right? There was one
yeah.
over
Ocean, one on Ocean.
on Third Street. On Third Street.
Oh, it was on
No,
third.
TikToks was on Third Street. The one on Ocean was Beeps.
Oh, Beeps. I'm sorry, Beeps. So, see,
Yeah,
this is
Beeps.
what happens
And
when
it's still there.
this is
And
what
it's still there, and I still get burgers there.
yeah. See, this is what happens to old time San Franciscans. They talk
Yeah,
about stuff
man.
like that.
Well, no,
Their high
it's still
school.
there.
Yeah.
It's still
Their,
there. It's very popular. It was taken over more than a decade ago by
yeah.
a beautiful Vietnamese businesswoman who, got tired of whatever she was doing downtown and opened up Beeps. And my only regret is that they stopped making the mushroom burger. I wish they would bring back the mushroom burger, but even if they charged a little bit more for it, I'd still be willing to do it. And I think other people would be willing to do it too. But
Wow.
they got dynamite fries and still great burgers. So
I can't get that specific on Beeps, especially as a vegan. I mean, I
yeah,
can't
that's
say
right.
I haven't been to Beeps in like 30, 40 years, but I
Let
remember
me
I drive by it.
Sure.
I drive by Beef's Burgers, but anyway. So Dan, all right. So thank you for the plug on the Marsh. It was only a one shot. I hope to come back and do it there.
Sure.
Maybe do it in the East Bay. I'm gonna do a portion of the show or a different show because the show's different all the time. Because based on who knows what Donald Trump's gonna do, or what's gonna be in the news in January. When I first did the show in Fresno, I talked a hell of a lot about Elon Musk and a hell of a lot about Zelensky in the Oval Office with Donald Trump and JD Vance. That was in Fresno. So and then when I did the show in Vancouver, I talked a lot about Charlie Kirk. I didn't talk about him here. So everything is based on what happens, and at some point I'll just sort of bring it. It'll be an amalgam of the entire year, but when I first started doing the show, it was just the beginning of the first, the first 100 days, right? And then it was 200, and then it was 300. Now it's a year, and now it's like, oh my God, it's terrible. Well, I don't know. After the Mamdani thing, he was trying to be likable. Donald Trump's trying to be likable now.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see if we like him back. I know that JD. If you watch South Park, he likes Satan. But he'll have a little, he has a little dalliance with JD Vance.
Yeah, JD is really, he's really trying to play it, man. No, he's keeping himself. He's trying to keep himself in the middle, man. He's trying to keep himself. You know,
He is in the
that's
middle.
not
He's
quite
in
what the president intended.
the, he is in the
Anyway,
middle.
all right,
Anyway,
dude.
sorry, Dan. Listen, so thank you. I guess we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk before Thanksgiving.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, we'll talk before
certainly.
Thanksgiving
Maybe
because
maybe we'll have more stuff to be thankful for. I'm waiting
ah,
on those SCOTUS decisions. Come on, SCOTUS.
all
Let's
right, all
hear it.
right, all right. I'll be in touch and we'll talk. All right, there he goes, Daniel Phil
Peace
Gonzalez,
out.
my friend, College of Ethnic Studies, San Francisco State University, Asian American Studies Professor Emeritus. And
Emeritus.
Emeritus. And thank you very much, Dan. We'll talk to you before Thanksgiving. There he goes. Oh, man, he liked the show. He liked the show. I'm glad he was there. And if you missed it, um, I will be doing the show again at some point. Maybe back at the Marsh next year, but definitely I'll be doing a portion of the show somewhere in San Francisco in January. Check out, I'll be talking about it here, and also check it out on my website, amok.com. Or, I started this page on Facebook, Emil Amok Monologues. Emil Amok Monologues. So check it out there. I'll put down updates on where the next shows will be. All right, that's it for our show. I'm still blown away by that Mamdani Donald Trump press conference and the meeting. Must have been a good meeting because Donald Trump couldn't stop touching Mamdani, couldn't stop, shaking his hand, saying what a good guy, how excited he was. My God, I think he was like, I think Trump is might be willing to convert to something. To Mamdani, he's a Mamdanist. He's a Mamdaniist. I mean, it's hard to believe, but check it out on YouTube. That press conference, because they both showed mutual respect. And maybe it's because they're both winners, right? They're both winners. Game recognizes game, as they say, right? A little of that going on. All right, so we're going to end it here. We like to close our show with a little meditation, right? A little meditation, because it's all about love. And as I was watching that, I said, I don't hate Donald Trump. I mean, a lot of people think that, if you oppose him, politics is a blood sport. I don't hate Donald Trump. I just, I want to persuade him, or I want him to see my side. I want to go for the civility, right? I don't want to, be, so, the political violence. No, bad, not good. We don't want that. We want to move toward the civility of an ideal democracy where we can talk to one another and get to some kind of agreement. I think, boy, you watch that Mamdani press conference with Trump and you say, man, is this the same guy who this week said, execute the Democrats who came out, who were seditious? Is that the same? Is it the same guy as the guy who was like, the Epstein files, we'll never let him out. Go ahead and vote. I don't care. I mean, it's hard to believe. I think we're seeing something in Trump. Like, he knows he's lost. He wants a little sympathy. He wants a little love. I'm not saying I'm going to give him any love, but I'm saying that we want to be equanimous and civil and meditative. And so I'm borrowing a page from Sharon Salzberg, the loving kindness meditation. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Yeah, till next time. Replay some of this. Go back, use your finger. Move that little line. Move it to tell your friends we're on YouTube. Tell your friends we're on Facebook. Till next time. Mahal